We are back. I'm Dani Gibson here with Bruce Casella. This is the Gate to Wire podcast, our third episode. Very excited about our guest today. We're going to have Danielle Montgomery. She's our Turning for Home program administrator. She is just cool as they get. She puts her heart and soul into this program. So excited to talk to her much more, but Parks has been rocking and rolling.
Yeah, tell us about it, Dani. What's going on?
So we got post time change 12:40. So make sure you adjust your clocks. We daylight savings time, we push it out a little bit. And we've had some cool things. Jockey Angel Castillo, he's a multiple graded stakes winning jockey from Venezuela. He was a big jockey down there. He just had his 1,000th career win, and that's a huge accomplishment.
Absolutely. That's great. And you guys have been having some great weather there. How about that? You got to enjoy that.
Well, some beautiful weather. And what does that remind you of? Kentucky Derby time. So there's some Kentucky Derby points races this weekend. Colonial Downs is going to have a 3-day spring meet. We're going to see a lot of Parks horses shipping down to Virginia for the big purses. They're also going to have a Kentucky Derby points race, the Virginia Derby, with Bob Baffert having the post time favorite.
Dani, tell us about what you do on a daily basis at the track. I see you there all the time. The viewers see you there all the time, and you're always smiling and you're having a great time.
So yeah, not only do I do Let's Go Racing with you and Dick Girardi, I do our public relations and I handle our social media for Let's Go Racing. So what that is I'll catch a race and I get the exciting parts of the race and I want to get the connections and learn about, what it took for them to get that win. I think it's so important to show those 2 minutes because so much hard work goes into those 2 minutes, and it's great for the owners to look back and remember, but it's good for our fans to see how exciting it can be to win a horse, to win with one of your beloved horses.
And it also helps me out a lot because when I'm doing features on the trainer or a jockey, I can just go back and look on letsgoracingparks.com, and then I can get that video that you shot with your iPhone.
Yeah, it's like we have a whole archive of memories. People have win pictures. Well, now they have win videos. What's cooler than that? Social media has been a lot of fun for horse racing.
All right, Dani, without further ado, let's bring in the woman of the hour, Danielle Montgomery from Turning for Home.
All right, welcome Danielle Montgomery, our Turning for Home program administrator. Dan, you have been doing this so many years, and Turning for Home is such an important piece here at the racetrack. Can you tell people what the process is to retire a racehorse?
Absolutely. It's super easy. And that's the whole goal, right? To make sure that, there's no reason for the horseman not to be able to use our program. So we're located right here, as you know, right here at Parks Racing, right on the grounds. So if an owner, a trainer, veterinarian, somebody thinks that the horse shouldn't race anymore, they can just come right to our office, hand in the paperwork, and we start that process, talking with the treating veterinarians first. If there's diagnostics to figure out the horse needs rehab, we work with Mid-Atlantic Equine Clinic and we send those diagnostics out to them and they create, a surgical plan or a rehab plan. And most of the time the horses are fine. They're just, don't want to race anymore. So we just go down, we take pictures, we take videos, and we just, try to figure out where this horse would like to spend its next 20 years. And we send them out to the appropriate farm. So it's super easy. We try to make the process as streamlined as possible. So there's no reason that, the horseman can't utilize our program, which, as you know, just makes it a safe, easy way for them to find the right, home.
Now, how do you determine what the right home is?
I don't do that. I trust my partner farms, and we have a great group. We have over 30 farms up and down the East Coast, all the way out to Texas and Kentucky that, they're already horsemen. They're already doing other things in the equine industry, whether it's, 100 jumpers, which is the traditional route for thoroughbreds because of their athleticism and their heart. And, they can tackle, the most high-end eventing and big careers. There's trustworthy as any breed out there with their, abilities and their heart to do anything. So, when you think of like the biggest events, on the planet, thoroughbreds can be there. And then there's also, horses that just want to go trail ride and just go hang out. So we have farms that just, specialize in like, lessons for beginners or therapeutic riding or trail riding. So, depending on what we think the horse can do and who has availability at that time, we'll send the horses out to the farms and they can really see it because it's really hard. And Bruce, one of the main reasons that Training for Home was created was because, there's these horses have always been in demand. People have always come to the backside and, went to buy horses and take them home, and it was always like for their daughter to jump with or whatever. But, back in the day, there was no real way to test out and make sure that those homes were safe. The horsemen are working here. They're up 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes they're racing all night long. They already have a full-time job. So to be able to find horses a second career and to trust people that they're going to take this horse that they're buying from them or even just taking from them and do the right thing, there was no real safeguard. So that's kind of where we are. We're that transitory agency in between that, we make sure that the horses are going to safe homes. So we don't, I don't get involved in a lot of that. The farms kind of get the horses. They realize, they turn them out. They see what they want to do. They put a couple rides on it, and they're the ones that actually match the adopter to the horse.
So we see thoroughbreds here on the racetrack as racehorses. And obviously the farms get to see them. What are some of the misconceptions about racehorses when they're retired from the track?
Oh, I grew up, my dad did rodeo and I grew up in the quarter horse world, barrel racing, everything like that. And he always said, don't ever get a thoroughbred, don't get a, my dad did.
Yep.
They eat twice as much and they're crazy and they're hot and they can't do barrel racing and they can't do this and that. And so, no, the misconceptions are there. If you really want a value in a horse, I mean, and vets will tell you when they're doing a pre-purchase exam. If you have a horse that's actually made it to the races, they've proven form to function, right? They've proven that they have the conformation and the ability to be able to train in a pretty tough, regimented training program. So if they can make it to the races, they've already done better than 60% of the horses out there. You can't tell from a quarter horse that has 30, 60, 90 days under saddle if he's going to hold up over time. But if you have a racehorse, especially a war horse, somebody that's run over 50 times, you know that they're going to hold up to it. And no, they're not crazy. And alfalfa doesn't make them hot. No, I think those are the big misconceptions is that, thoroughbreds are crazy or they're all hurt or, they're this or that. I think they're the best value for any discipline. If you can find the right thoroughbred, they have the mentality. Some of them are the smartest horses that I've ever been around. They're super, I would say, as a breed in general, they're just more intuitive.
Yeah.
They're thin-skinned, and you have to respect that. And I think that's kind of where, maybe they aren't, some horse, like I said, we're not going to generalize the whole breed because some of these horses go out and they're just as quiet and thick-skinned and unbotherable as any other breed. But some of them are more thin-skinned, and you have to be more of a rider, I think, to
Yes.
ride the thoroughbreds. But they're not crazy. They're just so happy to work for you. They're just an amazing, amazing horse for any discipline.
And they see a lot at the racetrack, so they're exposed to so much and going on trailers and all the handling.
Oh, tractors running by them. They're in the paddock with fans and people. And I mean, yes, even a 2-year-old off the racetrack has seen more than any horse that's just been on a farm and trained at a farm. Absolutely.
So how many horses have you placed so far since the beginning?
Well, we started in 2008 in May, and we are on 4,400 and I don't even know, 20 horses, something like that. We're definitely going to hit 4,500 horses this year. We take in about 300 a year, and taking them in just means that the owner or trainer brings the paperwork up to us, transfers the ownership to Turning for Home, and we do the assessments, and then we'll send them out to the farms that are appropriate for them. So it's been about with the population here at Parks Racing, it's been about 300 horses a year.
I think at the banquet you talked about a specific horse and a milestone. What was the name of that horse, and where is the horse now?
Yeah, 4,400th horse was El Hermano, and what a great horse he is. He's just this beautiful chestnut gelding, and he retired at the end. He had a little chip on his sesamoid, and he did really well for his. He raced all over. He started in New York. He's a New York bred, but he was bred by a Pennsylvania farm, Equine Farm. It just happens that he was foaled out in New York. And Equine Farm, Val McNeely, her and her mother have been great supporters of Turning for Home since its beginning. In fact, from 2010 to 2015, they we're pretty much one of our main donors here at Turning for Home. So I had talked to Val and her team a few times about, maybe taking, retired racehorses, and they actually have a program now, and they have a girl there that, rides and trains and does the horses. So when I saw that El Hermano had come in, and our vets did recommend that we take that little chip out, so he did go on to surgery, but I called, their farm, and I was like, we have one of your homebreds here. And we do that quite often. If we have certain breeders that always tell us to watch out for their horses. So, we called them and they took them. So yeah, Bruce, it was like a great full circle moment, because here's, a farm that's been so supportive of us, since we started. And now they want to take, a few horses a year and rehab them and rehome them and retrain them. So that was kind of a cool moment, and we were really happy to send El Hermano back home, safe to Val. There's actually pictures that she had taken years ago, I guess when he was a 2-year-old, in that were in the Blood Horse magazine, of her holding him with her puppy, and so it was kind of cool. We were doing that. It's a great story with him going back home. So
He was such a fierce competitor. I liked what you said at our awards banquet, that if any of the jockeys were lucky enough to ride him because he was so competitive.
yeah,
Well,
he won 3 in a row for Silvino
oh,
here.
he was a really big, beautiful chestnut. Well, Dan, you're very passionate, and horses is a 24/7 job. I want to know how you stay passionate about doing this and what a lifestyle this is. Like, we see many trainers, their sons following their footsteps, like Bill Mott's son, Riley Mott, is following in his footsteps being a trainer, and your daughters are both involved in aftercare. Can you talk about the passion you have and the lifestyle you have with your family doing this together?
Absolutely. I mean, like, my husband teases me all the time. He's like, your addiction is horses, he says. Everybody has one. And I mean, I came into horses, honestly. We figured that my great great grandmother brought horses over from Ireland to Nova Scotia, and every generation, in my family has had horses. And it gets in your blood. And I think people think that racing is different than any other sport. I mean, people that are working in the racing industry, we're showing our horses. When you take your horse up to the paddock, it's like taking a horse up to a horse show. I mean, they're
I
decked
agree,
out the
yeah.
best, and you're proud to show off all the training, the grooming. You're bringing the horse there. It's not just, yes, people bet on our horses, but it's not about that. We're in it because we breed these horses. And we hope for the best, and we want them to be the best racehorses they can be. So, I mean, I don't think people in horse racing are different than anybody else that's in any other, equine related sport. We all are in it because we love the horses. And, I have a farm. I've had horses my entire life. I got my first horse when I was 10, and I've never not owned a horse. I still have Fox. He's 34 years old, and I look at him out in the field every day, and he babysits my babies. And, I just, we love it. And I think it was a great way to raise my children. I did take a break from the racetrack for 10 years to be a stay-at-home mom and raise my kids. And, we did horses. And, we raised strong kids that are outside, they're not inside. So I'm proud that, I raised, my kids to love that part of the sport, or even just the outdoors. My son wants nothing to do with horses. He's a fisherman, Bruce. Dylan's out there fishing. But, I think part of it is that he grew up on the farm as an outdoorsman, and that's part of, this whole farm. The farms are so important to our communities. We want to see green open spaces, and racing, people don't realize how integral that is to, preserving open spaces, and all the fields that are open that are feeding our horses are kind of feeding our community too. So I love it. I love everything about the industry. I breed my own horses now, trying to get them to the races, and my girls, they grew up riding, seeing what I was doing, bringing the babies home, trail riding them, seeing what they want to do. And, now they're passionate about it. And, they've got these thoroughbreds running rodeo and, winning at the top levels. Allie got invited to the NHR Nash Invitational, all the way out in Colorado on a thoroughbred mare. So, it's in their blood too. And I'm proud of them. And I'm also proud that, we've been able to spotlight these horses in so
Yeah.
many different careers. Yeah.
Before we wrap this up, Danielle, tell us, how can the public get involved? How can we help you do your job and help these horses?
Awareness is huge, Bruce. I love that you're doing these podcasts, and I think anytime that the industry brings aftercare into it and can show that these racehorses don't just, end their lives on the racetrack. They go on to great second careers, and they're great horses that can do so many things. I think anytime we tell people that and just, do that outreach, you get more horsemen that look to thoroughbreds and say, oh wow, maybe I'll, find out more about them and go to a farm and try to ride a thoroughbred. That's how you can help us. Anytime we raise awareness, and we try to do a lot with that. And I think in the world today, your phone listens to you and your ads are targeted to you, and people get in their own little like funnel. And the racing world is actually getting kind of smaller rather than bigger. So I think we need to really reach out, beyond our boundaries and tell people what a great sport this is, how amazing that we're breeding the best horses in the world as far as I'm concerned, and they can go on to do so many things after racing. So I think, outreach and awareness is great. If people want to find out more about Turning for Home, they can go to turningforhome.org, and our partner farms are right on the website. They can call us. I'll happily match them to the nearest partner farm where they can go volunteer. If they just want to, clean water buckets and brush a horse, that's great. If they want to go ride, our farms are professional farms. Most of them have riding programs and lesson programs and training programs as part of their program. So yeah, just reach out to turningforhome.org and we can help you get involved.
Do it.
We talked about the racing community getting smaller, and you had some pretty interesting, powerful numbers about what's going on in Florida. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. The girls, a couple of our partner farms, in the winter, actually, I think four of them went down this winter. So Ocala, we all know in the thoroughbred industry, Ocala is where, our horses are bred. It's the horse capital of the world for a reason. And they have the World Equestrian Center now too, where people go from all over the world. And in the wintertime, they go down to Florida to show at WEC, which is a beautiful facility. I don't know if you've seen it. They have polo fields and, Grand Prix every Saturday night that you can go watch. And it's this mecca. But Gulfstream is being sold, and you worry about Gulfstream going under, and the horsemen are scrambling trying to figure out how we're going to keep racing going down in South Florida. And now Tampa, there's stories that Tampa, they want to sell that racetrack, and they also want to do like a super highway down the middle of Florida that would go right through the heart of horse country. And that's scary to think about. Like I said, these green open spaces are healthy for the entire planet. And so, it's scary because right here in Pennsylvania, there's 7,000 jobs that are directly related to horse racing in Pennsylvania. 7,000 jobs, that's 7,000 families that benefit, that can work in the thoroughbred industry, love horses, work with horses, and support their families. And then there's like another 8,000 jobs that are indirectly related, people that are involved in saddlery or hay or straw or whatever. So many jobs, I think there's like 1 million acres in Pennsylvania that is just dedicated to horse fields and horse farms. That's a tremendous amount of space that is directly supported by horse racing. And it would be really scary, I think, if, we just had, concrete everywhere. It scares me for our future and for our kids because I've had such a great, relationship with horse racing over my life and, raising kids to be around horses. It scares me to think that there'd be less racetracks and less horse racing in the future.
You told me something that stands out. Horses preserve all things beautiful in the world. And I think that's a great message. And it's been awesome to talk to you. I could talk to you all day about Turning for Home.
Yeah, me too.
And I know you have a Turning for Home horse. Well, you've had many horses come through your farm, but Dover Point is one you've had for a long time. Tell us about Dover before we wrap it up.
Dover, I always, my girls always grew up with me bringing home the rejects, like the horses that, the farms, didn't want or didn't latch onto, and Dover went well like a hunter. I remember Mariah Montoya was calling me. She thought about putting him in, and she's like, oh, I mean, he was pretty sound, and she's like, I'm gonna try him one more time. And, she called me. He was at the quarter pole and everybody else was across the wire. And she's calling me, come get this horse. So I had sent him to a farm in South Jersey and they did a lot of hunter jumpers. And, they got on him a few times and they were like, oh no, oh no. Even though he's got a nice movement, he's by Ecclesiastic, who, sired that horse, the winningest horse in
The
Pennsylvania, the
man.
man. Yeah. And he's Dover. I go out with my girlfriends. I don't, my girls want me to come barrel race with them. I just like going out with my girlfriends, and just go trail riding and have fun. And Dover is a character. He is the bravest horse I've ever been on. When things go wrong, he's the horse. I mean, I've caught loose horses with him. I've helped people get in and out of, the gate with him. Anything that you need him to do, he'll do. But you can't make him do anything. And he's just been that kind of crazy horse. We go fox hunting and everybody's supposed to be like proper and quiet. And here's my Dover jumping around like a nut. But, I think I've had him 10 years now. And, he'll retire with me forever. And I give him hugs and kisses. And when he decides to come up to me in the field, if he sees a trailer, he's not coming up so quick. But no, I love my Dover. I've had him forever. And he's one of those misfits that, ends up on my farm. And, but we've had a lot of fun. He's my jack of all trades. We've done everything with him. I've chased cows with him. I've barrel raced with him. My niece took him out to Wyoming for the National High School Rodeo Finals in poles and barrels. So, he's done. My other niece, she rode him for a couple seasons doing the game show. And so, I always tell him he has to come back. Like they all want to keep him, but
Yeah.
once they ride him, like for that stuff, but he always has to come back. He's my main man. So I know I love my Dover.
Oh, for the love of horses.
Uh-huh. Well, Dover's very lucky to have her too. But Dan, you are very talented with horses, and it's so great to see the relationship that you have with the farms and just how seamlessly you make these transitions. And I know it's a labor of love and a job that you're really passionate about. But Turning for Home is lucky to have you and just so important.
Absolutely. Keep up the good work, Danielle.
Thank you, Bruce. Thanks, Dani.
Well, thanks for talking to us. We hope you come on again and update us more on Gate to Wire, and have a great rest of your day.
You too.